Hello everyone, and let's talk about why I chose the Vanguard as my main for 4.0. Now a lot of people saying, why didn't you stick with your Scoundrel, why didn't you stick with your healer? Bear in mind it is a story expansion, and do you really want to play a healer in a story driven expansion? Not really, to be honest. Are you ever going to level any healers through story content? No, I don't think so. I don't think we're going to bother with that in an expansion, to be perfectly honest with you. So that is definitely not an option. The Vanguard, we've got a decent DPS spec. The DPS specs are very, very good. It is one of the few classes in the game that I kind of know how to play all three specs, so I can kind of do whatever's needed. Really, I can play it as a tank. I can play it as plasma, and I can play it as tactics. So pretty comfortable with it. I also like the flexibility that you have as a Vanguard. Your movement is excellent. You get nice range of mobility as well. Mobility, survivability is very, very good as well. The damage output that it does is decent as well. Very, very good. They're decent DPS classes. They're decent at doing solo content, which that's what this expansion's all about. People keep telling me it's not about raids, it's about solo content. So you're not going to pick a healer, are you, for that? People say, well, why don't you play a Scoundrel DPS? But then you got to admit, we're just lumping the Scoundrel in with all the other melee DPS, and it is probably one of the weakest melee DPS classes in the game, at least currently. At least the Vanguard is arguably one of the strongest overall, if we take everything into account. If we don't just take in damage into account, if we're taking in things like utility, raid utility, survivability, mobility, if we take all those things into account, the Vanguard is pretty hard to beat. I know the Shadow won the poll that I put up about the thing, but the problem is they ruined the Shadow for me. One spec I liked from the Shadow, and it was the tank spec by the end of the expansion. Personally, just think that they ruined the Shadow. All they did was progressively make it worse. Every single change that they made it worse. Getting the phase walk thing, that's pretty decent. Not the phase walk, the shadow step. I can't remember what it's called, but I'm calling it shadow step. That's what it is. Getting that is good. It's good to see we've got a gap closer. However, the Vanguard, you get Storm. You know, you're getting Storm for DPS Vanguard, so it's going to be pretty good. Gonna have to wait to level 61, and that is going to be the goal as soon as 4.0 drops. Fuck the chapters. Fuck the story. Get Storm. Okay, I'm spacebarring every cutscene until I get Storm. Okay, people say, oh, we should get Storm earlier, really. And what do the tanks get at level 10? They haven't said anything. It's going to be a bit of a pain to level a tank, although no one's going to level a tank, are they, in 4.0? I guess maybe it makes sense, because no one's going to even touch a tank or a healer in 4.0, because it's a single-player game, and being a single-player game, you're better off playing a DPS spec. You know, you're just hampering yourself. That's all you're doing by being a healer, is mobs aren't really going to kill you. You can get your companion to heal you. You can pick whatever companion you want now, and they can be a healer, so why bother? Why bother being a healer? They say, why bother playing a healer until you hit end game and realize that it's filled with DPS in the queue. So another reason for picking the Vanguard is it's pretty easy to tank with as well. Although it is going to get more difficult. I'm going to do a video on the 4.0 tanking changes. If I can get it out before 4.0 launches, okay, we're going to talk about that. We can talk about it now because it's been revealed. The gear changes, we covered it a little bit in the gearing changes, but we'll go into a bit of detail, particularly how it affects the Vanguard, which again affects me because I'm maining a Vanguard in 4.0. So yeah, I think it's a reasonable choice. I mean, hopefully they don't nerf it now. Probably will. I don't care if it's not ahead of the other DPS specs. I play a class because, you know, I like playing a class. Again, we picked the Scoundrel last expansion, ironically, because I wanted a bit more mobility, really, and it ended up being the least mobile class, but stuck with it throughout the expansion, stuck with it despite its deficiencies. That was pretty awesome on occasions, though, the Scoundrel. It had its moments. Underlurker was one of those moments that we had, where, again, stand in front of it, pop your dodge, and then just slash laugh at it. And it doesn't matter if you get the debuff, because it doesn't hit you. Like, his cross doesn't mean anything to Scoundrel. You just stand there and go, nah, good luck, Underlurker. Dodge it. Also, make sure that you track his channel though, and because dodge only lasts 3 seconds and devastate's like a 7-second cast, so you need to wait until it's 3 seconds to go before his devastate lands, at least, or under 3 seconds to go, so that you get the effects of dodge. I've seen people try that and then say it doesn't work. Did you press dodge at the start? I was like, he's like, yeah, I pressed dodge at the start. No, you gotta have him focus targeted and check his cast timer and press it at the right time. You don't just press dodge and get immunity. You know, there's a little bit of skill to it there. You know, you gotta time it right, of course. The Vanguard, of course, we can just laugh at the well, everybody else laughs at the Underlurker when a Vanguard is in the party, except the Vanguard, of course, because of our Sonic Rebounder. Things like that are what I really liked about the Vanguard. It does provide some nice raid utility. It's basically a Saber Reflect for everyone in the raid except you. You know, it reflects the damage back, and they take no damage while they're under the effects of it. You use your Sonic Round to get that, so you should always have that keybound. I mean, it is your AoE taunt as a tank. As a DPS, it's one of your threat dumps, because you got 2 threat dumps as a DPS. Vanguard, you need them. If you're playing tactics with that opening burst that we get, you really, really do need that. The 2 threat dumps. Oftentimes I pop both threat dumps just to get that out. But yeah, that's why I chose the Vanguard, basically, because it's got the mobility. I want to play melee. You know, I kind of made that plain when I started out, because I want to see how the balance is, because they have stated that they are going to make the game more melee friendly. So let's see if it works. Okay, so I'm going to play a melee. Okay, I'll play a melee DPS. Fine. I want to see what they do to make it more melee friendly. So that's one of the things that I want to see. Hopefully they do make it more melee friendly, because again, it's a Star Wars game. Don't make it melee unfriendly. That's just stupidity, okay? Making a Star Wars game that's not melee friendly when the biggest lore characters in the Star Wars universe are mostly melee, okay? Talking Jedi and Sith, okay? We've got an awesome... The lightsaber is one of the most awesome weapons that we've ever seen in fiction, so... You know, we want to be using that. We want to be a Force user. You want to be, you know, Luke Skywalker, don't you? As a Jedi Knight, that's the class is most suited to that. And, you know, and then you can go into raids and just get face rolled by people who are playing troopers, essentially. You know, troopers, yeah. Go raiding. Yeah, I want to kill this, well, Revan will use. What Revan? Revan was he was a Sith and a Jedi, wasn't he? He was the Grey, wasn't he? Revan. He was both dark and light side. Do you want to kill this once powerful Jedi and Sith Lord who's lived for 300 years and been reborn over and over again, and has lived as a prisoner of the Emperor for about 300 years? Yeah, of course his mind's going to be ruined. But hey, bring bounty hunters. You know, not Jedi or Sith to beat him, not Force users. It's like Darth Vader, you know, it's like, or the prophecy will say Anakin was to destroy the Sith. If that was BioWare's devs, it would have been a trooper. It would have been a bounty hunter, yeah. Boba Fett would have done it. Boba Fett destroys the Emperor. He destroys Palpatine. So it's weird because, you know, Star Wars lore, the Jedi and the Sith have always been kind of at the center of it, and then the classes that are most awesome are non-Jedi, non-Sith. I guess it makes them viable. Maybe that's done deliberately, but I don't get it. If you're trying to market a Star Wars game, surely you want to get people to play Jedi Knights, Sith Warriors, you know, Inquisitors and Sages as well, especially the Sages and the Sorcerers. Again, that's why nerf them? Why nerf them into the ground? You know, I know game balance has to take precedence, but, you know, a bit of lore would be nice. You know, a bit of lore would be quite nice. But anyway, that's why I picked the Vanguard. Didn't pick it for the story. Doing the Trooper story at the minute. God, it's boring. It's really, really boring. Just try to stay awake during the cutscene. Spacebar while half asleep. You know, can lead to mistakes. I mean, I don't care about the affection of losing with Alara, because I already got the achievement, so screw it. And I've got a whole legacy bank full of companion gifts. So you know, I'll sweeten the deal with Alara if you're watching the video. And I shot the senator. You know, I shot the senator. Screw that. Of course I'm gonna do that. I'm a Vanguard, and of course when we get the choice in Fallen Empire, because this is not really a spoiler, but you're gonna be given the choice: kneel, or I guess fight him. I guess when you meet the beardy dude. I can't remember his name. There's the beardy dude. It shows you how much I care about the story, how much attention I paid to the story. There's the beardy dude. There's Eric Musco and Eric Musco's twin brother, who he killed, apparently. And there's some other dude. And there's Lana as well, who has better hair. There's some other ship captain dude. His name I can't remember. And there's another HK55. There you go. That's me on the story. You can see that I care about the story a lot in SWTOR. You can see you can tell how much I care. Like, yeah, there's a beardy guy, and you know, he's got two twin boys, Eric Musco and his twin, and of course he kills his twin, and you know, he becomes the beardy guy's. Wonder if that's how you got a job at EA. Wonder if maybe that's what they said. Maybe that's EA. EA is the beardy dude, and it's like, look, Eric, if you want a job at EA, gotta kill your brother. Okay, that's the kind of shit that EA would do. I imagine that kind of stuff. I imagine EA is like the devil. They said it worship the devil, and I imagine if you apply for a job at EA, that's the kind of things you'd have to do. You'd have to sacrifice something to the gods of EA. You know, I imagine that's what you'd have to do. But anyway, this video's gone way off topic. It's gone way darker when we thought about it. So yeah, never gonna kneel as a Vanguard. Okay, you're a Vanguard. You don't kneel. Okay. We're just going to plasmatize that fucker until he's just dust. Or we're just going to gut him until his guts are lying everywhere. I don't know what we'll do as a tank. I guess we'll just taunt him a bit. Maybe. Or bitch slap him around with our stock strike and, I don't know, electrocute him with our ion pulse. You know, but we'll plasmatize him until he's dust. Or otherwise we'll just gut the crap out of him if we're tactic spec. Course, and there you go. We don't kneel. We don't kneel as a Vanguard, okay? Never ever kneel. Your Havoc squad, don't kneel. You know, Marauders, they don't kneel either. They're too stupid to kneel, okay? They'll just charge in there, and you know, they won't even have the dialogue option to kneel if you're a Marauder. It'll just be charge in there ahead of your tank companion. Your companion will automatically be set to tank, and if it's Lana Bonico, she'll be like, ah, god damn it. And Lana Bonico will hate you, of course, because you're a Marauder, and everyone hates Marauders, and she's not a Marauder, she's only got one lightsaber, okay? More of a, she's a healer, actually. Weird, she's like a healer. I thought she was like a Guardian, but she's actually a healer. It's Shadow of Revan, she heals you in the Revan fight, of course. But anyway, that is all for this video. Thank you for joining me, and we'll see you again soon. And goodbye. And also let me know what class you're picking 4.0. Some people have said that. Some people said play a Guardian. Some people said play a Shadow. Guardian's a bit boring. And I like the flexibility that the Vanguard offers more than the Guardian. So anyway, thank you for joining me in this video. And we'll see you again soon. And goodbye.